Hi guys, welcome back to Ni Malas Ni Santas.
Today, we are going to be starting a series called Amor No Duele. So, in this series, we're going to be sharing women's stories about toxic relationships, abusive relationships, and kind of how they've overcome their struggles and their healing. Just to kind of give some light on this topic. I know it's a very sensitive one, but if any of our viewers are going through anything like that, we want to be able to I guess kind of just share stories so that they know that they're not just they're not the only ones going through it.
Mhm.
So today we have Corinne. She's the first guest on our show. so a little background. So we actually work together and we've known her for like a year
Mhm.
now, and she was so gracious enough to come on our show and be our first guest. How you feeling?
I'm a little nervous, but I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful you guys asked me to be on the show, especially for your first guest.
Aw.
Okay, take a shot. No, just kidding.
Okay, so you're gonna be sharing a little bit of your story with us, and we're kind of just gonna give you the floor. So go ahead and tell us. So, how long have you been out of your relationship? Let's start with that.
I've been out of my relationship for a couple of months. Technically January is when I ended things, and then February I moved into my own apartment. We were together for almost 4 years. We were engaged and everything. We've known each other for like 9 years. So it's kind of weird how we met. He was working at a store called Champs when I was like in my senior year of high school or just graduated high school. And he saw me while he was with a customer, but my best friend at the time was exchanged her phone number with one of the other workers there, and he happened to ask that worker for my phone number through my best friend at the time. So it was just weird how we connected, and I didn't really
Mhm.
think it would ever come or ever be anything. But he actually asked me to his high school prom way back then, and I said no. And I kind of friend zoned him a lot. And that's because I was actually like fresh out of the only other relationship I had been in, which was
Mhm.
very, very toxic. So I wanted to take time to just heal and to
Mhm.
find myself. So I intentionally took 4 or 5 years of just being with myself and discovering me because I was still really young back then too. But the last relationship I was in kind of like really messed me up. But anyways, he kind of like hung around in the background and would just check in on me every now and then, just see how I'm doing and whatnot. And then it ended up turning into something a couple years down the road. And so because I took all of that time to myself to really like find myself and fall in love with my own presence, like that's when I originally started taking myself out on dates and
Mhm.
whatnot back then, just to get to know me and what I like. And then I got really clear on what I would want in a relationship when the man does come into my life. So I was really set on my next um, partner being like the man that I was going to spend the rest of my life with, like my husband, basically. So when the timing aligned with Carlos and I guess I shouldn't say his name. If it doesn't
Yeah, you can
matter.
do it.
um, I was really just fixated on, okay, like this is who I've been praying for. This is who I've been wanting to be in my life. I've done all the healing and all the work now. Like I'm ready to receive this relationship. And he was like talking about how he had waited all those years for me to come around to wanting to be in a relationship. Like it just seemed like a perfect little fairy tale story, like how we met and like where we are now and whatnot.
Did he
Um,
have like did he have any relationships in those years of like you friend zoning him?
no,
Nope.
no, he only had one relationship in high school,
Mhm.
and at least he said he never had
Mhm.
Did you guys go
another
to school
relationship.
together?
Mm-mm. No, we didn't go to school together. He was at like a neighboring school and not the same school. But we actually, growing up together too, we didn't know each other because we were super young, but we went to the same church. We
Oh,
got
okay.
confirmed there and everything.
That's
Kind of weird.
crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So so you finally said yes to dating him, right?
Mhm.
And how was everything in the beginning?
Everything was amazing in the beginning. It was like a honeymoon phase that seemed to last forever. Um, I didn't know anything about love bombing when I said yes to him, but like reflecting back on it, there was a lot that happened very, very quickly. Like we were only talking again for a couple of weeks and he asked me to be his girlfriend, said he wanted to marry me and said he was in love with me all within like a 2-minute time frame. So it was a lot and I didn't
Mhm.
really think about it because I still just really wanted to be chosen, which I realize now there's that
Mhm.
wounded part of me that just wanted to be chosen. Um, but anyway, he would shower me with flowers. He wrote letters to me. He bought me cards. He bought like gifts, like super expensive gifts super early on. And I had never received that type of affection before. So
Mhm.
I liked it a lot. And I just thought like, wow, somebody finally like really cares for me enough to do these types of things. And I mean, I would say like the honeymoon phase lasted a good like 6 months, 6, 7 months, because then everyone kept saying, "Oh, it's gonna fade, Corinne." I'm like, "No, it's not. This is my person. Look how good he's treating me." But when we got into like our first serious conversation or kind of like a serious disagreement, it, it didn't go very well. Um, that's when I kind of saw more of like a side of him that I hadn't really seen before, but I didn't really think too much about it. I kind of like rolled it off my shoulders because I knew that he really hadn't been in a relationship before, that he was still like, learning how to communicate healthily and whatnot. And I'm not perfect either. I was still learning too. But that turned into being a continuous thing,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Did you guys ever go through a phase of like consistently arguing, or was it just like couple big arguments and that's
It turned into consistent.
it?
It ended up being a really unhealthy pattern where it's like I literally felt like I was on a roller coaster. 'Cause we would have really high highs. We'd be doing so good for a little bit, and then it would be really low lows where it's like arguing every single day. We just can't like figure out how to get on the same page. But then the high would come back, and then I would kind of forget about how bad like just the past couple of days were. It's weird because when you're on that roller coaster for so long, you kind of get like amnesia and forget a lot about like what happened and how they were talking to you and yeah.
Mhm. You kind
And
of have like rose-colored glasses to
yeah,
like the whole
rose
thing.
colored glasses.
And your parents knew about like, did they like him or your sister?
They did. They really liked him at first, like in the beginning. Um,
Did you ever tell them about what was going on, or did you keep that to yourself?
I kept it to myself for a
Okay.
while. And then my mom heard me crying really hard on the phone one day. And she kind of asked me, what's going on? How long has this been going on? She's like, that's not healthy. Like, no guy that really cares for you would
Mm.
make you feel how you're feeling right now. Like, we're just going through a rough patch, Mom. It's okay. We're gonna be okay. He's so sweet. Like, we're gonna get through it. And she's like, okay, Corinne, but I'm kind of concerned. But they still, like, even after that, she welcomed him with open
Mhm.
arms. They all wanted the best for us.
I think that's kind of the hard part of like opening up to your family or to your friends about your relationship struggles, because it kind of taints the image of
Yeah.
that person,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it's hard to go back when you if you guys ever get back on like a good
Mm-hmm.
page, they're still gonna see that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I
Mhm.
never wanted to taint the image or for them to
Mhm.
look at him any different way. That's why I did try to keep a lot of it to myself. Even when she would ask and check in, I wouldn't give her a lot of details about like what was said and
Mhm.
whatnot. But then it came to a point where I was holding so much in that, like, of course, like, I never want to talk bad about him either. We just
Mhm.
didn't end up being the right people for each other, and that was it. But like the ways that he would talk to me and handle situations kind of caused me to act a little bit out of character as well. Um, so I wasn't perfect either, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. But it just never felt like a completely safe environment.
But also, I feel like the way you react to certain things, you can't blame yourself because it's a reaction to how people are treating you.
Mm.
You know, everyone likes to point the finger at your reaction, but not what got you there, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. So, mm, I get it, but people get you out of characters.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I ended it in February. So it's been a couple of months living completely on my own now. And just doing a lot of reflection. There were so many red flags right in the beginning of the relationship that I completely ignored. And I don't know if I just didn't want to see it or if I was just so infatuated with the amount of attention he was giving me. Um, but it's just wild to look back. And a big thing I'll say is to always listen to your body because our bodies are so wise. And like one of our first dates, I had a full blown panic attack out of nowhere, and he didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to handle it. That's not something that happens to me. I've only had like one other one before, but I didn't even think about it at all. But that's something that like I was constantly anxious about it. And I wasn't really able to fully understand why until now I'm in my own environment and I just feel so much more at peace. Wild.
That's wild. It's crazy how your body tells you these things.
Yeah, I seen that on
Yeah.
TikTok that like
Mhm.
your body will reject, like if
Some.
you're in a relationship, like your body will reject.
Mhm.
Like there's a lot of girls that like their skin's really bad, like
Mhm.
they're losing hair, and then as soon as they're done, like
They're glowing.
yeah,
Mhm.
So, continuing on, you guys started dating and you said you got engaged. So, how long between you guys dating to your engagement?
Yeah. So it was March of last year is when he proposed. We started dating September of 2021. So what is that, 3 years?
3 years. Okay.
3.5 years? Yeah. And I mean, I guess I kind of knew that that would happen at some point because he made it known right from the beginning that he wanted to get married to me. So I didn't feel like it was rushed at all. But at the same time, it's weird looking back at even just saying yes to him because I feel like the whole time my body knew like this. And I knew that this wasn't the person for me to spend the rest of my
Mhm.
life with, but I still said yes anyways. Because I feel like I was still holding on to so much hope that we could grow and be healthy together. And I mean, obviously, I loved him. I fell in love with him as a person, despite like everything that we went through. And just like all the sweet things he would do for me and whatnot. But even like when he said yes, it wasn't, or when he said yes, when I said yes,
I was like, wait,
Like,
what?
I'm
You
like,
said
you
yes?
um, when I said yes, it just wasn't like how I've always imagined. And like some things don't happen how you would think they would happen, but I wasn't even excited. Like I thought I would cry. I thought there would be some type of like excited emotion or something, but I was just kind of like, oh yeah. It was weird. It's
Really?
weird. Yeah.
really?
It's weird thinking about the whole.
And when you look back at like the proposal, the ring, like all of that, w- I know you said it's not what you expected, but do you feel like he took into consideration any of your likes, like what you wanted when it came to that? Do you feel like it was, were you even taken into consideration, or was it just like, oh, here's a ring type of?
Mm,
You see what I'm saying?
mhm. I will say he did a really good job with the ring. I
Mhm.
loved the ring and the detailing and whatnot, and he didn't ask for anything or like for my
Mhm.
opinion on any type of ring. but just the way that he proposed. I mean, I said I wanted something smaller and intimate, but he took me to a dinner and then we walked along like the river
Mhm,
after and then he like popped the question
mhm,
on me. And I mean it was nice and it was definitely small and intimate like I had said, but it like I just wanted it to be a little bit more thought out, I guess.
mhm,
Like I feel because he moved here to Illinois. I'm from Michigan, by the way. We were both from Michigan, and he got a new job, so he moved here March. So
mhm,
literally right before he made the move to a different state is when he asked. So I feel like it was kind of him like, trying to secure me in that
mhm.
way, since he knew that we were going to be kind of long distance until I
Mhm.
found a job out here. Oh yeah.
So before he proposed, did you guys mutually decide together to move, or was that still like up in the air for you?
I told him that I would move if I found a decent job. And because I was really comfortable at the place that I
Mhm,
worked at in Michigan, and I had built up like a really solid client base, which is, hard
mhm,
to do as an esthetician. Um, so I didn't, and I was getting paid well. I didn't really want to move unless I
mhm,
found something that would be worthwhile. And he kept saying, "Well, job or not, you need to come with me. I'll take care of finances and whatnot." I'm like,
mhm,
"No, I need to have something of
mhm.
my own." So that's
Just
kind of what we talked about. So back he was kind of driving back and forth for a while, which I appreciated that effort too, but I feel like that kind of heightened our fights as well. Like we were fighting a lot. Like even like I would drive all the way out here just to spend a weekend with him, and the whole weekend we would be arguing. Yeah, crazy different.
s- I
But
mean,
when he first told you that he was moving out here, like, how did you feel?
I was excited for him because he really wanted to get the job that he's in now. And that opportunity didn't seem like it would be there in Michigan. I was genuinely excited for him to explore something new. And then I was curious to see like
mhm.
what it would do for us. I mean, I had already said yes to getting married, but I was kind of curious about like how the distance would be. Yeah, I
But
was
he told
excited for
you
him.
after he proposed that he was moving out here or
No,
before?
before.
Interesting.
Yeah, that could definitely come off as like he was trying to lock
Lock it
it
down.
down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like he didn't
Yeah.
want the distance to put like a wedge with
Hmm.
whatever future you guys had. So you moved here after how long of doing long distance?
Um, it was like about let's see, like 4 months. I moved here in July. Yeah, about 4 months.
And those 4 months, would you say was like the worst of your relationship or not so much?
It was interesting. Because kind of how I said before, how like our bodies tell us something. I feel like having that distance, I felt more at peace. Like I was still living with my mom and
Mhm,
stepdad, but just having that space away from him, I felt in a really good place within myself. And then when we would get together again, like I got anxious again, and it would always be something that would cause a fight. I wouldn't say it was the worst part of our relationship because we went through
mhm,
a really tough season that I would consider worse than that,
mhm,
but it wasn't great.
mhm,
But I kept holding out hope, and then I honestly thought that by moving to a different state together into our own place, because I did live for a certain period of time, I moved in with him and his parents when we were lived in Michigan. So I was living
mhm.
in he has like the whole basement to himself. Um, but obviously his parents were around too, so I thought it would be kind of different when we moved into our very own place where it's just us and our energy and we would be able to grow and figure these things out. But it ended up just continuing to like magnify the problems that we
Mhm.
already had.
Okay, so what not trying to put, like, any blame on you, but what made you, like, continue the relationship? If
Mhm.
you were feeling anxious, if you weren't feeling, like, calm or, you just weren't at peace within the relationship, why, did you decide to keep working on the relationship?
Mhm. And I guess, I am in the wrong for that because there were so many times when I could have just walked away based on how I was feeling, and I feel really bad for even, like, coming off as, like, even, like, stringing him along. I reflect on that a lot because I wasn't being completely honest with myself and, like, even saying yes to the proposal, and deep down, I knew that that wasn't the right answer. But I feel like I continued to hold on and be with him just based on because I felt like he was trying, and I wanted to continue trying too, and I had grown attached to him, and I had a lot of love for him as a person, and I, got to know him and a lot of what he went through when he was younger, so I was able to kind of see why he would react certain ways towards me, and I saw a lot of potential in him if he chose to grow, and I really wanted to be the person to grow with him. If that makes
Mhm.
sense. I don't know.
I think the potential of
Mhm.
someone really can be, like, I don't know, like, it's a blessing and a curse,
Mhm.
because you really wanna see the best in someone, but sometimes it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But I also feel like you shouldn't, um um, like, when you say that you feel like there's a lot of instances where you should have left, I think there's a lot in this whole abuse, toxic relationship stigma, there's a lot of blame on the victim where they're like, well, they could have just walked away. And
Mhm.
it's really not that easy because when you're in a situation like that, whether it's just a toxic relationship or abusive relationship, whatever the case is, it's very difficult to walk away and it's very difficult to know what a person's going through until you've been in a situation like that. So I feel like one thing you should never do is like put the blame on yourself because abuse doesn't just come in like, hitting.
Mhm.
It's emotional.
Mhm.
It's, verbal, it's physical. Like there's so many different spectrums of abuse that I feel like the victim, although they could have walked away, there's always a reason why they couldn't do it, you
Mhm.
know? Did you feel like that was the case, or do you feel like you never saw yourself as a victim?
I definitely saw myself as a victim.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just wild because you become so attached to that person no matter what they are putting you through, no matter how bad things get. Like you still like you have that trauma bonds,
Mhm.
that emotional attachment, and it makes it that much harder to fully let go. And then especially being so good in the beginning. Like, I feel
Mhm.
like a big part of me staying is clinging to that,
Mhm.
clinging to the
Mhm.
fairy tale that it once was, and I couldn't grasp that that's not the reality anymore for it. It's not
Mhm.
what's happening anymore. Um, and to, like, after we would go through, like, a rough patch, he would, like, again, shower me with stuff and just, "Oh, like, here's this sweet guy that I know again, like, it's all good, we're all good again." Like, it was tough to break out of that cycle.
Very manipulative.
Yeah.
What was a turning point for you where you said, like, enough is enough? Like, I'm done.
I guess just realizing because we lived together out here half a year, 6 months, um, and again, like, the first month, maybe even just 2 weeks were really good.
Mhm.
Like, we were meal planning together, and we were back in the gym together, and Like, even, like, going to we found a church to attend together, like, all these little things that I had been wanting were happening, but then it only lasted for a little bit, and then it was right back to we got in one of our worst arguments ever, and I remember just sitting there like, "Why did I just move all the way out here to do this again?" Like, I just wanna go back home, I wanna be in my mom's arms.
Mm.
Anyways, I guess just seeing that pattern continue to play out and knowing that now I'm really here all by myself with him, and I can't see me doing this the rest of my life, and I
Mhm.
can't see myself bringing in children with this man, but I literally have a ring on my finger that says that I'm going to do that. So I guess just making that realization, it was tough to, like, fully admit that to myself, like, this really isn't right anymore, and listen to that small voice that was trying to tell me this whole time that this isn't right. Um, yeah, and then just to finally, like, take the leap and either move back to Michigan or get my own apartment out here. So I did kinda wait until the lease with him was to be renewed, and then I just didn't sign it. I moved forward with moving out on my own. Yeah, I guess the breaking point would just be, like, finally realizing, like, I can't do this the rest of my life, and I've committed that to him, and I need to get out while I still can before walking down the aisle, actually wedding planning.
Did you think it would ever get worse? Like, not just arguing? Were you ever, like, scared that it could have gotten way worse?
I definitely was scared
Mhm.
just based on, like, especially towards the end, how much more the arguments escalated. I didn't wanna think that it would get worse, but I that definitely was a fear.
Mm.
Yeah. And, like, there were a lot of secrets being kept from me, and even being in the same home, there were things being hidden from me in different rooms, like habits that I didn't have any idea about. And then just knowing, like, that was going on, because then I could instantly see it in his behavior towards me, and it would make me feel like I'm going crazy. Like alcohol being hidden in the place, for example. Um, but there's no alcohol in the fridge, and then I could see that he was kinda acting a certain type of way, then it makes me feel like I'm going crazy because he's saying he's not drinking, like,
Mhm.
it's weird, and especially when alcohol was involved, things would get even worse than they already were.
Mhm.
So, yeah, there were times when I felt, like, not safe at all, and especially being here with no family, like, my sister wasn't out here at the time. Like, I definitely felt like I just needed to get out.
Mhm.
But going back to your parents and your sister, I have a question. um, did anyone around you notice what was happening before you did?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And my mom's divorced, and I love my dad, but he's a very interesting human, and I've seen a lot growing up when I was younger and just, like, how their relationship played out. Um, but anyways, my mom basically was telling me that she was nervous that I was going down the same path as she went down with my dad, and that she didn't wanna see that for me. I was like, "Yeah, whatever, mom, he's nothing like dad." But it's like looking back, it's like he has a lot of similarities to my
Mhm.
dad. And my older sister too. My older brother, so I have 2 half siblings, a older sister and older brother. My older brother also is divorced, and he recently got remarried. My ex and I were at the wedding together, and there were again, alcohol was involved. Um, and my older sister pulled me to the side. She's like, "Corinne, I don't like the way that he's talking to you. He's making these little comments that he shouldn't be saying to you. Like, it's actually pretty rude." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I've never noticed that before." She was like, "You need to just pay attention to this. Like, I don't like this at all. I don't have a good feeling about this anymore. I used to really like him, but this just doesn't sit right with me." And then that night we got into a screaming argument in the parking
Mhm.
lot in front, like, my family literally came out to us, and my older sister was like, "Corinne, no guy should make you feel this way. Like, if this is the person for you, he should not be making you feel like this." So there were a lot of times when they would talk to me. The only one that never really said anything about the relationship was my dad, which makes sense. They
Mhm.
vibed so well together. My dad and him got along together like two peas in a pod. But the rest of my family was kind of like even my grandma, she wasn't even around him that much. But she would call me, she's like, "Man, I can just sense something. Like, are you being treated okay?"
Well, they say that you tend to not only repeat cycles from what you grew up in or what you've seen growing up, but you also tend to date people that are like your father.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that a lot, especially with, you know, women in toxic relationships. They continue that cycle over and over again because it's
Mm-hmm.
all they know. So that can be something.
Yeah,
Yeah, makes sense.
it does make sense.
So so you guys had the turning point. You decided you're done.
Mm-hmm.
How did you go about leaving?
Mm. Um, I was trying to kind of do our apartments like really low key. He had my location, so I kind of knew that he could see anyways. But I tried not to say anything because I was trying not to rock the boat for as long as I could. Um, but I would tour different apartments. I kind of would like try to be low key about packing things too. Um, I don't know. I feel like I could have told him right from the beginning, like, hey, this is what I've decided. I'm moving out instead of like trying to do it on the low. But once like I kind of wanted to wait for like me to have officially signed a lease and everything and know that it was actually official. Hi, Coco. Before sharing it with him.
Hi.
Another special
He's
guest.
our emotional support dog.
um, but yeah, so once it was all official, I told him, and then I was also attached to their phone line.
Mhm.
So I was trying to kind of be low key about that too when I went back on my mom's phone line. Um, but as soon as I walked into the apartment, it automatically was trying to connect to the Wi-Fi. So he was like, "Oh, what is this phone? Like you just got a new phone?" Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I told him like kind of once everything was official
Mhm.
and when it was like 2 weeks for me to move out.
And how did he take that?
The first day, he was very emotional. Like he was crying more than I had ever seen him cry before. Didn't want me to go, of course. And then the next day, he got very, very drunk, um, and was actually like really, really disrespectful towards me. So it was like again just that roller coaster. I never
Mhm.
knew what version of him I was gonna get, and that's kind of how it was the whole relationship. And it really came out at that time. And I knew that he was hurt, of course, because I'm leaving. But it's like in my opinion, I feel like if you're gonna want to keep me around and show me that things
Okay. Well, technical difficulties. We apologize. So, we left off at you told him you were leaving
Mhm.
and you still had 2 weeks left, right?
Yeah,
There. How were those 2 weeks?
they were hard. Um, yeah, it was hard knowing that like it was actually happening. And I felt like based on how he was acting, he still was holding on to hope that I would change my mind and
Mm-hmm.
not leave, but I had already signed papers and everything. Like the decision was final. There was no
Mm-hmm.
turning back. It was definitely hard going through all of the emotions and then of course like there were days when he would be very like sweet towards me still, but then days when it was challenging. Yeah. But so that night that he got like really, really drunk, um, and was really disrespectful towards me, I actually asked the leasing office if I could move in a week earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point I felt really, I don't know, I was just really scared and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really feel comfortable anymore. Yeah. Um, and they said, yeah. They kind of gave me like a new time frame for when I could move in. Then it was kind of wild because I kept kind of pushing it out, especially when it came to packing. Packing is overwhelming to me. But my dad, he was in Florida. He drove back from Florida to Michigan and then drove from Michigan all the way to Illinois without me knowing he was coming out that night. So that morning, he was like, "Hey, I'm here to help you move." I'm like, "What?" Like, I'm not prepared. I'm not fully packed yet. He's like, "Well, we gotta get this done, Corinne. Like, it's time." I'm like, where did he just come from?
Mm-hmm.
It was wild how he just like popped up like that. But it really like lit a fire under my butt. Like, okay, this is really happening. He's here. Like, he helped me to get the U-Haul and like loaded everything in with me. Um, and then after that, like my ex, he was kind of in shock because he's like, "Well, you told me that it was gonna be this day and now it's today. Like, why is your dad here? Like, what's going on?" I'm like, "I didn't even know that all this was
Yeah.
Oh, so he
happening."
was there when
Yeah. He had yeah, just got home from work that morning because he worked night shifts.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he kind of was being petty towards me that day because he felt like I was hiding something from him when it actually honestly came out of the blue the way my dad popped up like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I need that was like,
You needed
like,
that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like I needed that push.
Sometimes
And
you need that push,
yeah,
like to just be like, "Hey, you have to do this," you know?
yeah, yeah, because I really was putting it off.
you think if
Um,
your dad didn't show up, you would put it off even longer?
hmm Yeah, especially because they gave me like a time frame. So I'm like, oh, okay, I have until this day. Like, even though it's really uncomfortable here, we still have like decent days and he still wants to like put an effort. Like, it's wild how my mind was thinking. Like, as much as we
Mhm.
had gone through, I still like wanted to
Fun,
hold
yeah.
on and see if we could
I think you hold on to
somehow
the
move
memory
on.
of
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
like what
memory.
it was. Like you don't hold on to like them and the way that they treat you. You hold on to like what the potential could be and what like you know what
Hmm.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had talked a little bit about boundaries,
Hmm.
Mhm.
right? What boundaries are you setting?
Mhm.
Like do you have boundaries for yourself and or future relationships?
Um, yeah, so actually something that's coming to my mind with a boundary, I don't want to be physical with anybody, like on a
Mm,
casual level, like during my
mhm,
single time. And that was something I had set before too. But I also had wanted to wait a while before doing that with my partner. And that was not the case with my
mhm,
ex. We jumped
mhm.
into physical things pretty soon, TMI. But I feel like that as soon as you're physical with somebody, it brings the connection to a completely different level
Oh,
and like
for
the
sure.
attachment. So that's something where like I have a very firm boundary on that. And if people that I talk to in the future aren't okay with that, then it is what it is. You're not the person for me. Um, boundaries with myself though. I need to think of what boundaries I have for myself. I've never thought of that before. Like,
Like
give me an
I think
example.
I think for one, like boundary with myself, like when I got into my new relationship,
Mm,
was I had a very anxious attachment style when it came to dating. I
mm,
would, in a way, like want to be all in right away.
mhm,
And so, a boundary that I put for myself is to keep myself cool, calm, and collective,
mhm,
and not let myself overdo it
mhm,
because I knew I wasn't attracting the right people by doing that. So I had to keep myself in check because you can set a boundary for what you want, you want somebody to treat you, what you want them to do for you, those types of things. But I think you also have to take into accountability, like, what actions you're doing too
Mhm.
that contribute to attracting those type of people.
Yeah.
So I think that's an example.
Yeah, that's a really good example.
Well, you think about
Yeah, I think about
it.
it.
So, okay, like, so now you're out of the relationship, you're in your own place, you're in a good space. How do you feel like now? I know you haven't had communicate, it's kind of been on and off with communication, but you've been really good for the last 3 weeks. So you're doing good. How do you feel now that you're not in like zero communication with him?
I feel, again, just that sense of peace being on my own. And like also just a different level of energy. Like I don't want to get woo woo or into energetics and all of that,
Mhm.
but I do feel like when you're entertaining somebody or something that drains you, as soon as you cut that and you really aren't paying attention or entertaining that anymore, you kind of get that energy back to you. And it, like, however it like affects your day to day, like whether it's just like work going really smoothly or just the way that you wake up feeling. Like I've just definitely been feeling overall like refreshed and just really good within myself, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Mhm.
Like a different level of confidence, I guess, too. Mm.
Which
Yeah.
is good. I
Mhm.
think, like I said, I think we kind of spoke on it, and like I said, I don't know what was recorded and what wasn't recorded, but we spoke on um the fact that a lot of women stay for various reasons,
Mhm.
but when they do finally decide to leave, sometimes they really have that sense of peace right after. Um, for this, that, and the other, it could be, financial reasons. It could be, you know, they just have nowhere to go. They have no support. There's so many reasons. And I know I already asked you this, obviously, but if you were in Michigan, you feel like you still would have been with him, or do you think you would have left?
Um, oh, I feel like eventually I would have left. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I believe that everything happens for a reason and in the timing that it's supposed to happen. So I do feel like eventually, like we were just trying to make something work that just never was
Mhm.
supposed to work. And it was hard to recognize that. But I feel like it was only a matter of time before, whether we were in Michigan or somewhere else, we would have
Mhm.
eventually separated.
Mhm.
There was no way I could walk down the aisle
Mhm.
with him. Yeah.
You didn't see him as like being the father of your future kids. You
Mhm.
didn't see any of that.
Yeah. I mean, at one point I did, for
Mhm.
sure. Um, but yeah, down the road and just seeing a lot of the patterns play out, it came to a point where it's like, no, absolutely not.
Mhm.
Because like those behaviors end up like, being part of your kids too. Like you're gonna see that
Mhm.
reflected in your kids.
You think he was aware of his behavior? Like the way he was acting towards you?
No, to be honest. He was, and that's the next, like, in the future, I want somebody who's very emotionally mature, like self aware, aware of their feelings and their emotions to where they can, you know, like work through them in a healthy way as opposed to taking it out on me or even like step away for a little bit if they need to where it doesn't escalate to the points where it does. Because all the flowers and all the gifts, it's nice, but I need some emotional like maturity
There's
next
nothing like
time.
someone that can not only communicate with you, but I think a big thing with communication is not only communicating, but being able to comprehend what the person is communicating.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that you can communicate all you want, but if you're communicating to someone that's not receiving that and
Hmm.
comprehending what you're saying, it's going nowhere. You're talking to a wall,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And that's how it felt sometimes.
Mhm.
And even when I would try to talk to him about how certain things would make me feel, and he would apologize and own up to like whatever was on his end, and I would own up to whatever was on my end. And then that we would talk about like, okay, well, what can it be moving forward?
Mhm.
There was never no follow through. Like it was all just kind of empty words, empty promises, like things were going to change, but never would actually change, or it would be really temporary. And then it would be like right back in the same cycle.
And I think a lot of women go through that. I think
Yeah.
it's a cycle of all these empty promises. And then going off that, do you feel like a toxic person could change?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I like to think yes, because I like to think that at some point everybody can like grow if they
Mhm.
but they have to choose that.
Mhm.
They have to choose that. They have to choose to do that deep work and like maybe seek a therapist or like an outside perspective to be able to, I don't know, just get that new self-awareness and emotional maturity to where they can actually make a lasting change in their behavior.
I feel like a part of that too, though, has to be that they have to accept that they're a toxic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, then there's no point in.
Mhm. They're never gonna
Yeah,
change.
never gonna change.
Do you think someone should wait for somebody to change?
No. No, because I feel like that's what I did
Mhm.
a lot of the last couple of years. Was I kept waiting for the change because he kept saying that he was going to grow and that things were going to change, and
Mhm.
there
Tell you
wasn't
what you
any
want to hear,
change.
basically.
Literally.
Mhm. I think they tell you enough to make you happy in the moment,
Mhm.
but not enough action that's actually going to change
Mhm.
what's going on. I think a lot of women see that. It's a lot of empty promises.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like he did empty promises in the sense of just the way he was going to treat you or just everything?
Honestly, everything.
Mhm.
There was a lot of like little things he would say that he would do and he just wouldn't do, like a lack of follow through.
Mhm.
And even when I would try to talk to him about that, even if it seemed like something super small, it's like, okay,
Mhm.
I'm still going to communicate to you, like, hey, like you said you were going to do this, you didn't do this, even though it's really small. But if it was me, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do that for you
Mhm.
100%. And he, well, that's such a small thing. You shouldn't be upset about that. I like kind of invalidate how I was
Mhm.
feeling. And like, I understand if it's a small thing, but those small things add up to bigger things over time.
I think no matter how big or small it's something, it's how you feel
Hmm.
and things that you want to see changed. And I don't think anyone should ever invalidate that, no matter how big or small the issue is. You know, little things. It'll all be like kind of domino effect,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know? Do you feel like over time in your relationship, like I know you have a lot of love for him, but did you ever feel some sort of like anger or hate towards him? I know hate's a strong word, but like rage towards him?
Yeah. Especially towards the end, because
Mhm.
I had so much kind of built up
Mhm.
that, yeah, towards the end, I definitely felt angry and just kind of like some resentment
Mhm.
too towards a lot of like what I put up with.
Mhm.
So, and especially taking the time to be by myself and sit down and reflect on a lot of things that I kind of bypassed in the relationship that now it's like all coming back into my memory like, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, why did I even stay when like
Mhm.
this and this and this was happening?
Mhm.
But I still loved him so unconditionally. Like, I don't know, reflecting on that a lot built up a lot of like anger. And especially like when I've been in the habit of unblocking him and talking to him again, and then he would start talking to me a certain type of way, and I would just like snap. And I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't need to go off on you like this, but like being by myself, I'm having all of these feelings come up, and I'm just so angry and fed up. Like, yeah. So
I don't think you need
definitely,
to
yeah.
apologize for
Yeah.
that at all. Do not apologize for
Oh,
that.
it feels so foreign to like go off on somebody for me
Sometimes
because
you need to, girl.
I
Stand on
know.
your 10 toes.
Yeah.
Not 9. I think sometimes you just have to do it. Sometimes you
Yeah.
just need to let all of that out because
Mhm.
it's like all built up.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something my mentor suggested too. Like when it was fresh, she was like, Corinne, I need you to sit down and you need to have a full empty journal and just journal everything out. Feel the anger, feel the tears, like feel everything.
Mhm.
And I did. And it was like, I'm glad I was by myself. But I literally just felt all the emotions. But still, like talking to him now, like he says one thing out of line, I'm like, no, don't talk to me like that. Do not talk to me.
Period. As you should, queen, because not one person should be talking to you sideways
Mhm.
at all. Okay, so how does healing look for you now? What do you do to heal from everything that you've gone through?
Mhm. Um, Definitely a lot of journaling. Journaling's my go-to when it comes to healing and just it helps me to really process things that I'm feeling. Um, I like going for walks. I like just slowing down and like being with myself, um, taking myself on little dates to get to know me again and to find out like my personal likes without somebody else in the background. Um, Hanging out with these two, they've been keeping me accountable by being in the gym and just, of course, moving my body before him. Like those were a lot of things that I did to heal myself and to just find me. So I've been kind of going back to that, going back to like what I know. Yoga too, like especially yin yoga, those really deep stretches. I feel like we carry a lot in our bodies, like with tension and whatnot. And that really helps me to just move through those feelings too. Like this is probably TMI too, but like sometimes I'll have such big emotional releases doing like yin yoga
Mhm.
too, like in those deep stretches, like I'll just feel like a lot of tears come to
Mhm.
the surface and it's like, okay, I didn't know that I needed to cry. I don't know why I'm crying, but I'm just gonna let it happen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's okay to cry. I feel like sometimes you just need to release. Sometimes we just bottle things like deep in there and you don't realize,
Mm-hmm.
how much
Until
you need to
you
release it.
Yeah.
Like
till
on
one
our
little thing could
literally
trigger
like on our
it.
episode about dads, like I don't think we both didn't realize how much we had in us until we
Yeah.
started talking about it. And sometimes that's just like what happens, you
Mm-hmm.
know? You just need to release all. But since you're doing all these things to heal,
Mm-hmm.
what has it taught you about yourself?
Mm. What has it taught me about myself? Oh, that's a good question. It's, I mean, oh, I don't know how to answer
Do you
that.
feel like you learned that there are certain things that you do that trigger certain emotions, or there are things that work better for you than others that you've tried?
Hmm. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say yeah to both of those
Mm.
things. Learning, yeah, learning my triggers on a deeper level because I already kind of knew some of my triggers. Um, but yeah, and then just learning what I need when all of these different emotions come to the surface. Okay, what do I need right now? What's going to support me best with how I'm feeling? And like I guess simple things like just knowing my worth. Like I'm a cool little lady and I deserve to be treated. I deserve to be treated well. I deserve to like be
You deserve to be loved correctly.
Mhm.
And I think that's a big thing that we want to kind of express to anyone out there is that love shouldn't hurt.
yes. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's the
Yeah,
title.
that's the title. Yeah. Yeah, love shouldn't
It
hurt,
should not. And it shouldn't be chaotic. It shouldn't be confusing. You shouldn't feel at like such dis-ease in your body. Like it should just feel short and peaceful. I mean, I don't have that person yet, but that's like how I imagine that it would feel instead of all of these up in the air emotions all the time. Like, of course, we're all going to have our ups and our downs, but there's a certain way that we can go about handling conflicts when it comes up. And it doesn't have to be in a chaotic, loud, aggressive, crazy way. That's not how it should be.
You're good at this. You want to be our third co-host? I'm just kidding.
I'd love to. So I have one last question. Do you have another question for her? Or I have one
Let
last
me
question.
investigate. You ask your question.
Okay. So my last question for you is, if someone listening only remembers one thing from this episode, what would it be? Or what should it be?
Never settle. I think that's just really important. Never settle for less than what you know you deserve. Because again, even though I know I don't have my person here yet, I know that the person that God has in store for me next is going to be everything that I've ever wanted and more in their own unique ways. And I could have easily entered into a marriage because you know, you guys are talking about timelines. My timeline was always to get married in my mid-20s, have kids by my late 20s. Like I could have easily entered that life. I had it right in front of me, but it wouldn't have been with the right person. I would have been settling 100%. But it like time I was weirdly comfortable with that person and I could have chosen to do that. So no matter how hard it is, if you feel any type of doubt, if you're in a relationship right now, or if you're single right now, enjoy getting to know yourself and getting really clear on what it is that you want and don't settle until you receive that. No matter how hard it is to walk away, too. It's worth it. Never settle.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Do you have any ending
My
comments?
last question would just be, what is a healthy relationship look like now after going? So you kind of answered it though, but like,
Yeah.
in a perfect world, what would a healthy relationship to you?
Definitely emotional maturity, just showing like you know how to communicate and to handle emotions and just being like self-aware, growing together, like having healthy habits where you're both like motivating and pushing each other, um, where you like bring out the best in each other instead of the worst. Like that's something I learned a lot too. Like I always felt like my partner should bring out the best in me, and that was not the case with my last one. What else? And of course, like doing all of the little things along with the emotional maturity, like still opening car doors, still surprising with flowers and like writing sweet letters, but with a lot more, I don't know, like just thought and intention behind the actions and not just doing it to like resolve an issue or whatever. Um, yeah, I need to get more clear on that too. That I'm actually working through like a workbook my mentor gave me to identify some of those healthy relationship patterns that I'm seeking. But those are big, like emotional maturity is like the top thing now. I never really thought about that before, to be honest. And that's like a big non-negotiable now. And that's something that I feel like you really do need to take your time in getting to know somebody to know if that emotional maturity is there. I mean, I guess sometimes you can recognize it when you see how someone carries themselves and talks. But there's also a lot of like deception and charming people out there. That there's a lot of depths to people that you gotta get to know. I don't even know if I answered that.
It's okay.
I feel like from what I'm hearing is that you want someone to know you for you and
Yeah.
love you the way you want to be loved. Because I think that's really big. And I think I learned this in my last relationship was no matter how much you love somebody, you have to love them the way they need to be loved.
Mhm.
Just because you love someone doesn't mean that they feel loved by you.
Mhm.
And I think that's a really, really powerful thing because you can love someone all you want, but if they're not feeling loved by you, then you're not doing something right, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
Mm. Well, we just want to say we're very proud of you,
Yeah.
Aw,
especially for it being a year ago
Yeah.
and all the stuff you've accomplished
Yeah.
thank
with
you.
work and your apartment and everything.
Yeah. Very proud of our little Cory.
Thank you.
And thank you for being our first guest.
Yes.
We really appreciate it
Mhm.
and for sharing your story. And I think my final comment would just be if you resonate with anything that she has shared or just a little bit, um, there is hope and there is a light at the end of the tunnel and
Say that.
and you you just need to work up the courage to get to where you need to be and to get out of that situation because it doesn't get better.
And to always put yourself first.
Always. No matter what it takes, use your resources.
Block
Use
him.
yes. Use your
Keep
resource.
them
Yep. Yep. Use your resources, use the people around you as your support because they're always gonna have the best interest for you. And this is part 1 of our series. And we'll be coming back with more and more, share more stories and put light on more stories of women that
And men.
and
Good.
men.
I know there's some men
Yeah.
that be going through toxic relationships.
Correct. So we want to put a light on all of that because it's not okay. Love should not hurt. Love should be a very beautiful thing.
Mhm.
And if it hurts and if you're going through all these things, it's not love.
Mm.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. We will see you guys on our next episode.
Toodles.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.